flying game, same for the team.
The game is yours to play now.
The light provides.
This is Eventide Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Eventide Radio. This is a fan-made Destiny podcast where we have roundtable discussions about a variety of different topics concerning the popular video game franchise. At its core, this show is about having in-depth discussions about the game from a variety of different perspectives. I'm your host Scotty, with me are my co-hosts Rob and Map, and today we're going to dive into the Vesper's Host Dungeon, which came out a couple weeks ago, shortly after the release of Revenant. But now that we've had a chance to play it, now that we've had a chance to talk about the rest of Revenant, we're going to dive into the dungeon a little bit. But as always, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the conversation, Rob, what have you been up to this week in Destiny?
God, that's a really good question.
Besides playing Diablo and not playing Destiny.
No, I have been playing Destiny quite a bit because, first, so I guess we can talk about it more once we dive into it. I like the Halloween event. I don't hate Haunted Lost Sectors. I think they are due for an upgrade, and maybe some additional Lost Sectors. Or if we went back to the Haunted Garden, what was it? Haunted Maze?
The Haunted Forest.
Haunted Forest, thank you.
Infinite Forest, whatever.
Yeah, the Infinite Forest that was like haunted. If we went back to that, like if they just alternated each season, like going Lost Sectors, or each year, like Lost Sectors and then Forest, Lost Sectors and Forest, I think I'd be okay with that. But this feels like the third year in a row we've done the exact same thing. And it's just kind of like, it's kind of overstated its welcome overall, but I still like it. I like trying to get the new weapons. It's like super enticing because now you can farm for the exotic class items. So I was finally able to get a couple that I was missing or kind of was like seeking out. Like I know maybe this is kind of like old news because it's probably obsoleted now, but like I really, really wanted an Osmiomancy Verity roll for my warlock. So I got one of those. And so I like, it's just been fun. I know at the beginning, like when it first like launched the day of, like it had a poop ton of problems, it's kind of like worked itself out now. And that new shotgun's kind of fun to play with. Like I will say this has been, in terms of like new stuff that we've gotten this season, there's been a lot to play with. Like we get the weird like double precision shotgun, which is cool, and the stasis glaive, which I've been having a ton of fun playing with. We can talk about that. And then I actually got really, really lucky, and I know I went on my whole megalomaniacal rant about being pissed off about not being able to farm Icebreaker, but literally on like my third completion of the dungeon, I was able to get Icebreaker. So, and to everyone's dismay and probably expected disappointment, I've actually been using it and playing with it and trying it out in a bunch of different builds and having fun with it because I was able to get it early on. So
what, having fun in Destiny? Is that allowed?
I know. Well, it's so funny. Well, not funny. It's kind of upsetting. Like there's the adage of, I know this is not what I've been playing. The adage of like people are so in a hurry to not have to play this game anymore. And that's like never been felt more with a lot of the guys in my clan, where it's like they like, because GM started this week and it's like they did one GM run and they're like, all right, I'll tune in next week. And it's like that's all they're doing for the whole week. And it's like it's, I don't know, it kind of bums me out because like I've kind of taken enough time off that I want to dive back into Destiny. I've been having a lot of fun just playing strikes and doing onslaught and like kind of vibing with the season. I still think the crafting of tonics is dumb, but the dungeon is intriguing enough. I didn't realize until the other day you can give tonics that you've crafted to what's her face? Ido to get reputation and items. So I've been like logging in or like going over there and see what she's looking for, and I'll just craft a bunch of those and give them to her. And that way, that seems to be like, I hate to say it, the most efficient way to get new legendaries. Because we talked about how when it's annoying that we can't craft the seasonal weapons, and I'm really trying to get a decent roll with the hand cannon, and I just cannot get it to drop like anywhere. And so I'm like, well, this seems like maybe a viable way to get a couple of seasonal weapons.
Gate?
Oh yeah, we'll definitely talk about Perk Gate. Oh my god, yeah.
No, that's so. I don't even get started. The whole thing is
but
ridiculous.
So I've been playing the game actually quite a bit, and it was really funny because the other day on the clan chat, people were like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm playing Destiny," and they're like, "Oh, you're actually playing Destiny?" I'm like, "Well, this is a Destiny like
Clan.
Discord and clan. So yeah, and there's many times where I'm the only one playing in our whole clan, and it really bums me out because it's good. Festival of Lost is fun. The armor's neat. Like I don't know. It's fun, and that's what it should be. I don't know.
Well, I may have bought the armor set because I'm broke on silver.
Respectable.
It was my own little treat. I came on. I was like, "Ooh, the Titan set. They did fuck up the gauntlets from the concept art. They did fuck up the gauntlets, but I wanted the chest piece. I really like that chest piece and the mark actually for once. Helmet's okay, but that's not why I wanted it. And I was like, I have no bright dust because I spend it all. So I did buy silver. But yeah,
yeah,
but
that's fair.
Perkgate, I sort of saw it happening. Like I was watching it unfold, and it's one of those things where, as I've said before on here, that I have not grinded for a weapon in forever because I don't care. That most of the guns I do not care about at all. So it hasn't really affected me. I can see it. All right, it has affected me a little bit when they added. Is it Claws of the Wolf, the Void Rapid Iron Banner Pulse Rifle? When they added that back into rotation, I wanted a specific roll on it, and I kept getting the same two perks paired together a lot. I just thought it was dumb luck because, like, that's life. I didn't suspect perks being weighted accidentally.
Finish your thought.
But I was gonna say that's like I wasn't like, yes, I need this gun. I just wanted a good roll of it. But I haven't been, as I've said before, going after guns with specific rolls because I have what I want currently for the last, like, I don't know, few years. It feels like I don't really. It hasn't affected me, but it was interesting to see it unfold.
Yeah. So, for those of you who have maybe been living under a rock, Perkgate that we aren't going to be talking about was an epiphany that the community stumbled upon through very diligent data collection and statistical analysis, which I'm actually, like, very proud of. But as it turns out, people have always kind of, like, suspected and poked at that perks are weighted in a weird way, that either it's not completely random, or if you get one perk in the first column, that it maybe affects the outcome of the second perk in the second column. And they, in a podcast like a year ago, one of the main guys was like, no, it's RNG, like one doesn't have any effect on the other, and so, you know, everyone kind of let that go. But recently there's been the weapon from the new. I just got one last night. That's actually the chill inhibitor.
Correct.
So everyone wants Envious Arsenal and Bait and Switch. That's like the god roll for it. And people have been farming the hell out of the first encounter because it was bugged for a while where you could duplicate the nuke, and basically like just blitz through that first encounter and farm the hell out of this, like, a lot. And people started noticing that no one was getting that roll, like, at all. In any way, shape, or form. And so then people are like, maybe it is weighted, and Bungie's been lying to us. And then Bungie came out and was like, nah, you guys are crazy. Like, I think DMG was like, I just, quadruple checked with the...
It was also a former dev. It doesn't work there now. Also came
there was a dev that also... Yeah,
and said, like, you're crazy. Like, we've never weighted perks.
Right. And what incentive does he have to lie about it? Because he got laid off and doesn't work there anymore. I think he was laid off, right? Yeah. So it's
I
like,
believe so. Yeah, the first round.
So everyone was like, "There's no hidden weight behind it." And then people just kind of kept pushing back and started collecting all this data. And as it turns out, there's kind of like it's hard to explain audibly, but if you look, people have kind of generated like a heat map. And as it turns out, if you go to something like D2 Foundry and you look at the perk combinations, it seems like there is a higher likelihood of whatever you get in the first column, that the second column will be a perk that is adjacent or closer next to it than the other. So literally, if you look at like D2 Foundry, because it lists the perks in a very specific combo, and that's like pulled from the API.
Yes.
And so it's like if you get, so I'm looking at Gravatic Arrest, which is a new fusion rifle. if you get demolitionist, there's a high likelihood or a higher likelihood that you're going to get kickstart. And then as you get further away from demolitionist in that second column, the drop rate becomes less and less likely, to the point where if you're trying to get like demo and withering gaze, you probably have like a 1 in 4,000 chance of getting it or something. Like there's still a likelihood, like there's one person that has that envious arsenal bait and switch, but considering it is the most sought after perk combo, it's kind of crazy that no one else has it, because a lot of these websites will list what the community kind of has and what they're keeping, so you get an idea of like, oh, this is the perk combo that I should be going for PvP or PvE. And so there's a lot of data out there to kind of show what the column perk distribution is. And yeah, as it turns out, the further you are just kind of in that scope, the less likely you are to get that perk combo. And then the Bungie team was like, all right, let's kind of look into this, because this is weird, because people were able to go back, and it wasn't just chill inhibitor. They were looking at like previous weapons and able to kind of corroborate that even last season, it seemed like it was the case, and maybe even the season before. But it's not clear how far back it goes. And so you might be asking yourself, like, how are we just now finding out about it? And it's like, the truth is, because we've had weapon crafting for so long, that this has been kind of irrelevant, because, you just get the red borders and then you craft it, and then bam, you can choose whatever perk column or combos you want. So it's independent of
weapon crafting pad.
Or I guess if you want to look at it that way, or weapon crafting good, because now you don't have to worry about this. Or that there's never been a specific combo that's been so far like just coincidentally out of reach. Like it's not clear why the perks are listed in the order that they are. It's not like they're alphabetical. It's just like how they choose to set up the perks in the API, and or like how they design the weapons innately, like however the traits are and how it translates to the API and that RNG generation. But it seems like all the kind of highly sought after dungeon weapons, which traditionally haven't been craftable, it just so happens that some of them that have been highly sought after, like what was the stasis rocket launcher from Ghost of the Deep, like the ideal, like, envious assassin bait and switch on that one or whatever, those happen to be like right next to each other. So the likelihood of them dropping together was high. And so it was like, we've never really noticed this because we've had weapon crafting, and because it's kind of like slipped through the radar, or fell under the radar. But because there was highly sought after perk combo, people started realizing like, hey, this is never dropping for anybody. So they are working on a fix in place. Like they've totally owned up to it. And it wasn't intentional.
Purposeful. Yeah. I was going to say, it wasn't like someone sat there and went, ha, let's make it shit for people farming for this role.
Right. Because because multiple times they've been explicit in the past that it is one perk does not determine the perk of the other. And that is simply not the case. And people have proven that with like high quantities of data to kind of back up that claim. And so Bungie's owned up to it. They're fixing it. They're even giving out an emblem. And they said they're going to work on kind of compensating people in some way. They haven't really said what that means. So maybe they'll give out, like, everyone's going to get a chill inhibitor with that perk combo, because
maybe they'll give out a few guns from the season that are like 4 out of 5 rolls.
Right. Exactly. So we'll see how that kind of manifests itself. So that's what perk gate is in a nutshell. Is RNG is not as RNG. And of course, like, there's no such thing as true RNG on any kind of like computer system, because typically a seed is generated, and how that seed is generated is not truly random and blah, blah, blah. But for all intents and purposes, you really don't have the outcome affected of anything. But I will say, when this kind of all came out, this is kind of one of those things that really did kind of not sit right with me for a while, because like, if they were so confidently wrong about this, what other
else
things
could they be
exactly, or what, like, this is totally a shot in the dark, and I know this is not founded on anything, but it plants that little seed of doubt of like, is this why I had to do 50 runs of Vault of Glass to get Vex Mythic class, but some person only had to do 2 runs? Like,
are you thinking it's like a trainer ID card from Pokemon situation, where if you get a certain trainer ID number, that the chance of you having something is higher than on a certain number,
Yeah, Yeah, it's like whenever you created your character, whatever, like who knows? Like I remember asking this like on the Destiny forums, like back in D1 year one, because like I didn't get a Galahorn and I was pissed off about it. And it's like, how have some people gotten 12 Galahorns? Because there was there was a streamer, and I'm trying to remember his name, but he had gotten like 12 G horns to just drop from like nightfalls and at the end of like PvP matches.
I think I know who you're on about, and I'm trying to remember his name.
He was mostly a PvP player. He was pretty cool. But like he had just this, he had amassed a massive collection of G horns.
I remember now. The name is completely gone from my head, but I remember him uploading a video of like him I've got Galahorn again.
Right. To the point where it's like frustratingly like, yeah, there's random, and then there's like, what the hell is this? And it's like, that's the kind of stuff where it's like you see that, and then it kind of like, oh, has it always been some kind of weird, like, it just so happens like how you make your character, like, oh, you choose that hair combo with that skin tone and that face paint and that face paint color, and that ultimately is what is your trainer ID, and that sets you down this road.
You can get more shiny Pokemon.
Right, to either have incredibly good RNG or just be, you're doing 50 runs before you get Vex Mythoclast. Like,
I mean, I've always had quote unquote streamer loot, so yeah. I'm not saying I believe it, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was a case. But I've always had good RNG when it comes to most things. There are some things I have farmed for and didn't get, but like I've had most RNG raid exotics.
Right. So the point I'm trying to get is we should just be able to farm exotics indefinitely at the end of raids. So that's all just goes back to what I was saying last time.
The one unlucky thing I got was at the start of D2 is I had to wait for Xur to sell them. I never got tractor cannon or sweet business. I know they're like meme weapons, less so tractor cannon, but I still wanted them, and it took me forever to get both of them because I when everyone just farmed exotics at public events, I would just spend my time doing that and would never get like either of them. That's like the only time I think I've been genuinely unlucky with this.
Right.
But not the 50 Vogue runs.
Right. So
did you guys end up getting anything cool despite Arcade from Vespers?
I have no interest in any of the guns, as I said, from it. I think I've got the GL. I had is it the Void GL, isn't it?
Oh yeah, the tube launcher or whatever the hell it's called.
I don't. I thought I had
one.
I thought I had one, but I don't know where it's gone unless I infused it. But I've got the heavy one with chain reaction danger zone that's still sitting in my inventory, and a target lock to the pain auto rifle. But other than that, no.
So I've actually gotten pretty lucky. I've gotten the auto rifle with strategist jolting feedback, which is supposedly like the jolting god feedback. Because strategist pairs really, really well with a bunch of arc, like pure arc subclass type stuff. So it people have designed like whole arc hunter builds around getting that exact role. It's been fun. Jolting feedback is awesome, but it's sort of completely obsoleted. Jolt. What's the other one? The one we have to get a kill first.
Volt shot.
It's kind of obsoleted Volt shot in a way because
doesn't
it's
it do
just
less? Doesn't it spread less though? There's like.
Yeah, but being able to just like sustain, like if you're damaging like a champion or something, being able to just like sustain, get jolt. I guess it depends on
the gun. I reckon on like auto subs, machine guns, things like that would be better. Whereas like a hand cannon. Or maybe it would be better to have like Volt Shot.
Yeah. So and I did get a yesterday's question with the Volt Shot rabbit hit. It's pretty fun. I also did like last night I ran the dungeon because I knew we were going to record, so I wanted to do one run, so it was kind of like fresh in my mind. I did get stupidly lucky, and I got a Cascade Point bait and switch with the Chill Inhibitor, which is like the other kind of quote unquote god roll.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get more fusion rifles. I've only gotten one to drop. Because me and my fusion rifles, but like especially because there's some kind of fun, like there's a chain reaction demo roll on there that I really want to like play around with. But I've been I also got nutrition orbs onslaught of the auto rifle, which
I
might be
did
kind
get
of fun.
it's not from the dungeon, but I got a Veleda F, the new
The sniper.
Yes, I got it with Vorpal Snapshot, so that was fun in PvP.
Ooh,
Yeah, I was
okay.
very happy with that.
Supposedly, Withering Gaze is pretty nasty with that thing, and not for PvP, obviously, but for PvE, you can do some kind of fun stuff with it. So,
yeah,
like, I all of that to say, like, some of the weapons that have come out this season have actually been pretty fun, and pretty spicy, and I'm just so excited and love I got a rank angle with Chill Clip, which is the new glaive, but it's a stasis glaive, so it's in the kinetic slot.
Yeah,
I've been having
got that yet.
I've been having it's unfortunately it's light blade, but it is double drops, so it is worth kind of like banging your head against trying to get a couple of those completed, because you can get 2 perks in the first column, and everyone's kind of going for the Rhyme Stealer Chill Clip, and I unfortunately have not gotten one of those yet, but I have been having fun with the Chill Clip overflow roll.
At least people can run triple glaive now. That's like a
you can run triple glaive just like you can run triple shotguns, and so
sniper.
Yeah, but it's and fusion rifle if you want to do like
Want to be that guy?
Yeah, if you want to be that guy. But hey, you can run Vex Mythoclast, which is technically a fusion rifle. So
don't come here with your technicalities.
It's not a fusion rifle.
But no, the weapons this season have been really fun to play around with, and I don't know if you guys have tried that Lithium, like rocket GL, the stasis one that's like the seasonal one. I don't know if you've tried using that, but it's pretty fun. And it feels like it's does too much damage for it to be a primary, but that's okay because it's awesome. Like the weapons have been fun and spicy to play with this season. Like just doing like strikes and just putting on like weird loadouts for the sake of like trying things out. It's been very, very fun. I
agree. It's been actually quite cool. I have a I know this isn't Vesper's host related, but the hand cannon, whatever it's called.
The Exuvier.
Thank you. I have a Rhyme Stealer headstone roll on that, and that one's a lot of fun.
And that's the roll I'm trying to get, and I cannot get those stupid things to drop. Like, so
yeah, it's you gotta use your tonics, man.
I guess so. I don't even know.
Come at me with the tonics.
I don't even know what tonic to use because there's so many of them.
Just use the one that gets you weapons.
Is there one specifically for seasonal weapons?
Yeah.
Okay. And you just pop the tonic and then just like farm things like Onslaught and they'll just drop? Like
I think it's got to be Onslaught weapons, but I could be wrong. But yeah, okay. You just do it and then you'll like potentially get a drop from kills and activity completion.
Does it consume does the tonic go away once you get the drop and then you have to pop another tonic, or is it just for that hour?
For that, however long the time period the tonic is,
This just goes to show how much I've not played.
I literally made the ones required for the story, and then that was it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I made enough so that I could do all the minor field work and the major field work, and like.
Oh, your favorite thing.
Yeah. Well, they're just so pointless. Like I was like, okay, maybe the major field work will be cooler, and it's the same thing. You just load it into Widow's Court. And you just fight a bunch of enemies for like 4 minutes, but there's no. And I guess there's a bug like that. There's like the dialogue isn't playing, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I can't go back and play the mission again, so I guess I'm not going to hear that dialogue. Like, it's just, it's so frustrating. Like, I don't know why they made those missions like the way they were. Like, have me go run around and do something in like even a lost sector, but just to stand by a table and kill things for like 2 minutes is just. Like the most uninvolved, like just boring activity I think they've ever done that just doesn't make any sense. But yeah,
I'm basically just waiting for Tomb of the Elders. That's basically what I'm doing.
If it's anything like Prison of Elders, I am all on board for that. Like I'm hyping myself up for maybe something that'll be disappointed, but I'm really hoping for.
So going back to Vespers.
Yeah, let's talk about Vespers. That's the point of this. Sorry, Scotty.
No, you're good. Did you guys end up playing any of the contest mode? Did you guys attempt it during that weekend? I was out of town.
I did not get a chance, no.
No,
so I did a little bit. We started Saturday night, and we did like the opening encounter, trying to like open the door, which
All right.
is really stupid that that's a darkness zone.
Yeah, I do think that
that's
is a bit silly.
There's a lot of stuff that
Yeah.
should not be a darkness zone
but
in
so
dungeons that are.
we tried it, and then we got to like the first encounter, and I got crushed by the brig because I activated the thing and didn't turn around.
I did that once.
And then one of our buddies was like, "Hey, maybe we should try to like just go through this normal because it had already been completed, right? So like we could play it on normal." So we just ran. So we're like, let's run on normal and then see if we want to try this on master now that we are on contest mode. Now that we like understand the mechanics, you know. And so we ran it through on normal. Definitely. Well, then we tried to mostly go through it blind. Like we didn't look up any guides. When we saw that streamers had been on it for like 12 straight hours, we're like, yeah, we're not going to do this. So we just did it on normal mode and called it good and had a fun time. So, but we did do like part of the first encounter or up to the first encounter on contest, and then kind of like, let's just see if we can get through a normal tonight and then go from there. So
yeah, I feel that.
But
cool. So I guess we all kind of played it on.
I mean, I still went in blind.
Full on normal. Yeah. I went in blind too, and I must say I'm glad you brought that up because we played it blind as well, and I had a lot of fun figuring out the mechanics and everything, and I thought it was a very good blind experience, personally.
Yes, 100%.
I much prefer this blind experience to something like Spire the Watcher or Grasp of Avarice, where it takes about 30 seconds to figure out what the entire dungeon mechanics are. You know? So Vesper's Host is a lot more interesting in the sense that there's more stuff going on. And also, I have never played Deepstone Crypt, so it made it even more fun.
I know.
I swear, what?
I know. Never played Deepstone.
Well, we're gonna have to do that.
Is cool.
We're gonna have to
It's
do
best
that.
not to think about it. Yeah, we do need to do a Deepstone Crypt.
That hurt me.
I would love to because I've heard it's really fun.
It's quite easy as well. Like
yeah.
It's
I never did it, so it was fun to play around with the augments and whatnot. I had used them before in Seraph's Shield, the Revision 0 mission.
I mean, it was interesting to see that they changed them slightly of how they work.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the timer, like dying if you like take too long.
Yeah,
and
I
in most
understand
situations you can dunk it and then just re-grab it, and it's like okay. If you're not going to have, like, I could understand that if, like, they gave me, like, a lockout where I couldn't grab it again for 30 seconds, like, okay, but, like, I can just dunk it and then grab it again, so there's, like, really no...
Yeah, I think they should have only saved it for the final boss, or something.
Yeah. Although I'm not a fan of when they change how a mechanic works midway through. Like, I still, to this point, don't like disparity... partially because the bells work differently on the final boss encounter than they do like the rest of the like that bothers me. So I prefer they be consistent all the way through, which is like okay, if they're gonna have the timer and you die if you don't do it, then fine.
Yeah.
At least they stick with it.
Like what did we think of the encounter layout sort of thing?
Of like which one?
Well, no. I mean, sorry, not the layout of like the encounter, like the order. You know, because some dungeons there's like a bit of a lull in between, not just from like a jumping puzzle standpoint, but like the flow of the dungeon.
I think it does a good job of gradually escalating. And I don't think there's necessarily a part where it like drags, except that one part with the doors, I guess. I forgot about that. The door part is a little goofy.
Yeah.
I think once you've done it a few times, you can, like, we went in blind, so it took us a while to figure out where they were and which one to go to.
True. Right.
But then the next time we did it, it took us, like, a few minutes.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah. Same is, like, once you know it's fine. I will say this is, and we can maybe talk about this a little bit more with the criticism part. I would not mind it as much if I could pick up the secret chest that's there, but because I haven't done the messages, I can't, and that's really fucking stupid. Like,
it is.
If this is one thing that I will give criticism back of, if they're going to make the dungeons more kind of like elaborate where you're meant to go through it, like they kind of hinted this a little bit with Warlord's Ruin, where like when you find, like, you kill the stupid screebs that drop all the items, and then you pick those up and you kind of like advance this quest, and then eventually you can unlock more of the doors that give you more lore, and eventually you go through like this secret thing for the big reveal that Shax is the one that like killed the Ahamkar there. Spoilers, by the way, for Warlord's Ruin if you haven't completed it by now. But like it's all for lore, not the actual like secret chests, and like that's like really annoying because like there was 3 of us that kind of, myself, Nam, and Mitch, Scotty, so you know who I'm talking about. Like,
yeah,
Nam went and did it because he got Icebreaker on his first run, so he was trying to work on the catalyst. So he went with a couple other buddies to try to make progress. So he has access to those secret chests, but the Mitch and I haven't done that yet, and we're kind of like, well, let's like sit down and like grind it out sometime. But it's really frustrating that Nam can access the chest and can get to it, and we can actually physically go to the room and see where the chest is, but we can't get the reward from it. And it's like, that's a really bad design because it makes that encounter kind of like frustrating, and like, because there's no reward for it. Like when you have these kind of little like interim activities where there's something to do, if there's at least like a chest in the process, you're like, okay, it's not that bad because at least I'm getting a secret chest out of it. Whereas this is like, it kind of sucks because you can't get a reward until you like make a certain progress. And at this point, it's just like, I know I need to go do it. It's not that bad. I can go look up a guide. But it's just kind of like, it's dumb that they set it up this way, and I hope they don't do that in the future. Like,
I will say,
because like you can, like in Warlord's Ruin, I'll say this, and because like in Warlord's Ruin, someone else can open the door for someone, and you can go get that lore.
Yeah.
Whereas like this, it's like, as long as someone can open that door to get to the chest, everyone should be able to get to that chest. But like to just block it straight out from people is like a horrible idea. So sorry, that's the end of my rant.
I will say, like, that servitor design is great.
Yeah, it's cool.
Is good.
It just spits up exploded servitors, which is
What's
awesome.
What's the debuff you get if you stand near him too much in the...
integration.
Yeah.
Like it's going to add you to
he's going to integrate me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And
when we
first... cool.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I know when we first went in the room and we'd never seen it, and I remember the 2 people I was doing it with, they were dying because I see him drop more servitors. I was like, oh, he's shitting servitors all over the floor.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's a cool design, like straight up, and it's neat.
That was a fun one to figure out. It's because it's kind of strange. That you have to like find the servitor's number according to the little dots on them.
Yeah, which by the way,
took us a minute, but it was fun to figure out.
Binary representation. So if you know binary, you can just read it rather than having to read their names. But
I'm stupid. I didn't know that.
No, you're not stupid. If you don't know, you don't know. But that's why there's
it's not required for the encounter, because I had heard someone say, "Oh, you need binary to figure out the servitor boss," and I was like, I highly doubt they'd do that because they made I know binary, but you needed it for the outbreak quest puzzle step in D1.
But that's where everyone's like,
that's an exotic quest, and the other parts of that quest were bullshit. Like very way more confusing than that. But I can't imagine them doing that for an actual encounter where you have to know binary, because that just wouldn't be fair.
Yeah, no, I've taken classes on like doing math with binary, and I can't like on the fly look at a sequence of 4 dots and know like immediately what it is while you're getting shot at and like avoiding explosions and traps. So I'm glad you don't have to, and it's cool because you can see like their names on which ones it is. So
did you like my meme, Scotty?
Something else. Wait, where did you send it in?
No, the one I made.
Oh, with the that was actually very well edited. That was awesome.
You. I literally just randomly had I was like, I need to do this now.
I thought it was fantastic. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's on our Twitter page, so go check it out. It's really funny. So when we were doing it, we thought that the dots like represented like the order in which we had to shoot the numbers.
Yeah, we thought that at first as well.
Yeah.
And we still think that until like right now. You just changed
Oh,
everything.
yeah. No, there's no. You can just shoot them, all 4 of them, at any time.
What we couldn't figure out is obviously suppressor. It's different. It's a lot different to how you use it in every other time we've picked up the suppressor debuff. So when we first picked it up, we were like, "What the fuck do we do with it?" There's no volleyballs floating in the air.
Right.
We were very confused, and then we couldn't figure out if you had to, the thing that you summon, the thing that you shoot. Obviously, it has to be near the boss, but we thought we had to do it directly on him, so we were just dying every time. And we were like, how are you supposed to do this without dying? Like, there is no way of doing, because you can't, because he just melee attack you. But
yeah, it's got a pretty generous AoE.
Yeah, but we didn't know. We thought you had to just sit and do it on him the first time we did it.
Yeah, I still have a bad habit where I keep getting too close to him and then it kills me. I'm like, okay, well, that sucks. But yeah, it's pretty generous with how far away you can.
Yeah, we didn't figure out it. I didn't realize you could shoot it until a little while in, and I was like, "Oh, I thought it had to actually touch it."
Yeah,
and I could shoot it, and it detonates. Oh, everything makes sense now.
Yeah. So
yeah.
So I guess maybe we should take a step back. So that's the second encounter, is the clump of servitors.
Yeah. But the first one is the brig and the lungs and the heart and the brain, and you go.
Yeah.
Grab the ball, you deposit the ball, you shoot the brig, you restore power to the Vesper station, I believe, is like what's actually thematically happening.
You're dumping cores to repower the station. And by the way, everyone, because a couple people in my clan were like, I don't know who's talking to us. I'm like, I think that's the AI of the space station. That's actually Vesper. So the voice of the person that's talking to you while you're going through the excursion is the AI. And kind of, so from what I understand, the main plot of the lore is it's this derelict station that some Fallen found, and they're Fallen that used to follow Aramis, and they've sort of like reclaimed this space station as like a home. And then at some point, one of the many clones of Atrax shows up, and sort of like they find some schematics, and they think it's like an ether producing machine, which still doesn't make sense to me why they think like on a human space station there would be a schematics to make an ether generator.
Because they're desperate.
What's
I don't know. I was going to say because they're desperate. I don't know.
Yeah, so they make this thing, and as it turns out, it's not a portal, but it's like a relay station or communication station. That's what that big portal-looking thing is in the background.
Yes. And
they send a transmission out, and then at the very end, when you complete the dungeon, you find out that something responded back.
So can I just briefly bring up a leak?
A leak?
A leak. What? I don't know. I don't remember where it was from, but it has been talked about. It has got, I guess, some credibility to it. But if you don't want to, if you don't want to hear me talk about it, then I don't know. Skip ahead 5 minutes. But so, or plug your ears, one of the two, or mute me. So there was a leak a while back for what Apollo is. And the person who leaked stuff about Final Shape, who was correct, has also said at the end of this year, we go in Apollo, we go and visit another planet with basically another group of people, form of humans.
Right.
And they turn up on a train of some kind, and it crash lands in the city. I believe it was something like that. So I was wondering, it sounds really random.
Honkai Star Rail.
Yeah. And now people are like, oh, so that signal got sent to them. I don't know.
Right.
Well, something I want to add to the lore recap, if I'm not mistaken, I could be way off base, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's not actually Atrax, the corrupted puppeteer.
Oh, right. It's one of the clones of...
Yeah.
No, it's it's like a Vex AI basically that Clovis made on Vesper Station, like an AI that he tried making using Vex technology, and it kind of went like, I don't know, gained sentience and kind of went crazy, and it possessed Atrax's, like one of Atrax's
yes.
bodies.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
That's just like the physical body that it's using, but
Yeah.
that's like a Vex AI thing.
I was gonna say, because it's not even called Atrax or Corpse of Atrax or
Right.
No,
you know,
It's called
it's
corrupted
like,
puppeteer, yeah.
yeah,
hence the puppeteer.
yeah.
Which sounds cool, by the way.
Yeah, which sounds very cool. Yeah. So maybe I mean they could be talking to Vex people. I mean,
That
it
is
might not
true, that is
necessarily
true.
be. That's just why I bring that up because
when
maybe?
that leak, when I read that leak, the first thing I thought of was Astro Train, but that's about it.
So
But
yeah,
it does sound very random.
yeah, and the message that we received back seems human and not like, because everyone's
see,
like, oh, it's
that's-
like
see,
okay.
See the
All
leak.
right,
That's
all
what I
right.
was saying. Yeah.
but it's, you know, it's all
That if that's
So
the
it's-
case, that's so fucking random.
right.
A fucking train. Maybe it's not a
Actu-
train, and that's what they interpreted it as. You know, like
Maybe it's like a space train or
well,
something.
that's
I
what
don't
it
know.
is. That's what it is.
Right.
It crash lands in the city or something like that.
That's cool.
But like that's so random.
It's
Oh,
actually
completely agree.
it's actually another Maya Sundaresh, guys.
Yeah. It's the last
Yay.
one. It's M Sun
the la-
13.
Oh my gosh!
You know that it's kind of annoying, and I
Oh,
get
we could
why.
we could get Thomas perfected at that point.
Yeah.
It's weird to me that, you know, everyone assumed that the M Sun 12 was like the 12th like copy or iteration of Maya Sundaresh, but it's the OG one. It's just she happened to have a 12 at the end of her name, like
Because
all
she's
of us
an
do,
exo.
and it's like it's like the or no, it's not she's not an exo. It's, you know, it's just like
Oh, it's just
when
like
you, you know, like when you have,
XXX Demon
420,
Slayer 69. Yeah.
exactly.
Fuck's
And so
sake.
that's all it is. And it's like, man, why would you? The one time that like there's multiple copies of someone and there's a number at the end, and it ends up not being the case that it's the 12th version. I just found that a little bit like
It's kind of funny.
stupid. But anyway, that was just a side thing, totally not related at all to the rest of this conversation. But anyway,
Yeah. No, that's kind of funny.
I wonder when they'll because obviously they've added into like the canon of Destiny that Guardians dance around in the tower and like emote in like and do stupid shit like that. I wonder when they're going to add canon that Guardians like call themselves names that are references to people. Like if they'll actually add that.
yeah.
I wonder.
So
Yeah.
okay, I'm glad we're talking about this. This is a
Oh, no.
complete like this is maybe the most tangential tangent of all tangents. But why is Osiris, and why did they go all in on like the Egyptian theme?
thing?
Because
Yeah.
it's his. Is it like
maybe
because it's his name, or
maybe he liked like he was fascinated with Egypt when he was resurrected, like he'd been there, or that's where
maybe
he
he was resurrected in Egypt?
Yeah, I was
or
going to
something?
say,
Huh?
and he likes the architecture because that's the first thing he saw, and that style
Right.
of like I mean, it'd be really fucking weird if he was resurrected in a pyramid. Actually, you know what? Maybe he
Oh.
could have been.
Oh.
Maybe he actually is.
He's a
from,
pharaoh.
No, maybe he's actually from ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
That would be, you know, what? I would
originally.
be okay with that.
Because
that's his
if he
backstory.
wakes if he's from like modern day Egypt, obviously you have pyramids there, but like they have, it's not like that's their architecture everywhere. They don't just have
Right.
pyramids chilling like, oh, I'm going to go down Tesco or Walmart. Oh, it looks like a pyramid. You know, that's not
Right.
the case. So maybe he is. I don't know. Maybe there is lore on that I haven't read up on.
No, I've looked
but-
into this before, and I can't find anything conclusive. So,
But
like,
maybe he just was a fan of it, and that's what he based
Right.
his like armor off of as well.
right. But then, like all of his followers and all that, like all kind of, you know, everything's got
Yeah,
like
but
the,
they like, you know. But if I started a cult and named myself after something from Destiny that was Destiny related,
That's true. Everyone would
and
kind of
then-
copy and follow suit.
Yeah,
That's fair.
yeah.
That's fair.
um,
Fair
I
point.
I've just always kind of wondered that, and
It's
so-
it's only really something that people have pointed out to me. Like I was aware of it, you know, like obviously, like, and then a lot of the music in say Curse of Osiris is very like Egyptian-esque in some ways, like with the instrument choices and things like that. But I've never really sat there and thought about it too hard or really cared that much. It's like, well, it's just a way of having that sort of theme in the game, you know.
Right.
Fair.
Which is fine.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's just funny lore, like the dragon. Is it dragon regalia or the dragonfly armor set from Forsaken? It doesn't look like a dragon,
or a fly.
Yeah, but
dragonfly.
They were saying that the people of modern day dragonflies are extinct, and they were saying that the people of modern day don't know what dragonflies look like.
Is that true? I feel like you see Destiny. Dragonflies fluttering around in Venus,
or it's not, or maybe it's another animal.
Do they not have records of dragonflies? There's just they were all
it's just funny lore, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it doesn't. It ultimately it doesn't matter. It's like there's that in the updated arms dealer where who's the cheeky English fellow who's in the
Devram.
EDZ? Devram makes some comment about the proverbial Hydra, like, you know, cutting the head off of one Hydra and replacing it with another. And Keitel's like, Hydras only have one head, and it's like completely lost on her that in Greek mythology there's a thing called a Hydra that's got multiple heads, and like it's just kind of funny. Like, it's it's all like
think that. Well, there you go. Then, do we think that? So, whoever the first person to, or a Vanguard member at one point categorized the Vex and named them. Right. Because the Vex don't speak, well, I mean they do, but they don't speak English.
Right. Call them harpies and
how do we know their names? But then how do, say, Cabal know, you know, like Callus sits there and goes, oh, Vex, Hydra, you know.
Right.
How does he know? I don't know. But again, that's a game. It's a game at the end of the day.
Right. And why do all the Cabal have names of like Roman soldiers, right? Like phalanx and centurions, right? It's just, it's fine. It's totally fine. It doesn't matter.
It was the winner. The winner did it.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Yeah, named them long before our history even existed. So it's fine.
Okay, I'm gonna pull us back to Vesper's host for a second.
Yes.
Aww.
Yeah.
but we're having so much fun.
All right, so where did we even leave off? We were talking about the first encounter and like all the different.
We were talking about servitors.
Yeah, so the first encounter is you have two kind of the scanner and the op, and the scanner has to tell which of the panels they have to shoot, and that causes a nuke to form. Then you have to awkwardly carry the nuke back and power the station, and that's the first encounter. You have to do it 3 times. There's a brig you have to destroy in order to drop the shield on the nuke depositing station. Pretty straightforward, pretty fun.
I know a number of countries would be salivating if that was the true in real life.
Shoot some panels and a nuke appears. Yeah. That's fair.
I do, Joe. I love the sound design of the nukes appearing in deep, like, you know, the deep stone alarm of the nukes appearing.
That's still one sound.
It's such good sound design.
Yeah. All the while, the backdrop is this is like a space station that's been kind of completely like ripped apart because this anomaly, like, the sort of emitted this huge burst of energy and caused it to essentially like fracture apart. And so part of the jumping puzzle area sections is you're just traversing like what remains of part of the ship that collide, because I think also a catch like landed there, and part of it's kind of shoved in there, and so you're kind of jumping around part of a catch too.
That jumping puzzle between the servitor and the final boss, that's a good jumping puzzle.
Yes, it's
not Ghost of the Deep.
Short and sweet. Yeah,
not Ghost of the Deep.
Yeah, it's short and sweet. Has a beautiful skybox, by the way, because you're in orbit around Europa, but also the whole time you have this backdrop of this like portal communication thing, and the ship that's just like shattered into a million pieces. It's awesome. And yeah, I think it's I was gonna say, because we were kind of gauging it with some of the other traversal sections in like Ghosts of the Deep and stuff like that, and like that is tedious and long, and I get it from a thematic storytelling. Again, makes for a great first day one experience, but like that in dungeon would benefit from some kind of like, okay, once you've completed the dungeon like 3 or 4 times, there's a skip where you can just port to the second encounter, because I feel like most of that dungeon's time is taken up with traversal. And that sucks, because it, like, thematically it's maybe the best dungeon ever, but like running it is miserable. Whereas this is like fun because it's just fun. The right amount of time. Like, just when you start getting annoyed, you're done. And it's perfect.
Does that sum up Destiny in a nutshell, or what?
Well, I just sometimes it goes on for too. Like, I get they're telling a story,
no,
right?
I know,
more
but
than
it was
anything.
the way you said it. Like, just as it gets annoying, it stops. It's done.
But it's as opposed to like Ghost of the Deep, where that, like, those underwater sections, you're like, okay,
they're
I get
cool
it. Okay, I get it.
The first time you do it,
right?
And then immediately after that, it's just pain.
Right, and you come up for air, you're like, thank goodness you're done, and then you're like, no, you have a whole other section before that second encounter. It's like, come on. And it's like, that is pinnacle, like, misery. And I still stand by, I think, what's the, oh my god, I'm blanking, the light.
Hold on one second, guys, I've got a flicker switch on a boiler.
Yeah, no, you're good. Wow, my brain is not working today at all.
You're forgiven.
The raid with which you fight Nezarec. Why can't I think of the
Root of Nightmares?
Root of Nightmares.
That's because you tried to block it out of your memory.
Yeah, I know, the one raid that I've done, like, the actual day one and completed it on, and I've just pushed it out of my mind.
Yeah.
But
what was he doing?
I think he's got to turn the boiler off or something like that.
Oh, oops.
Yeah, that's why we're not talking.
I don't want to say too much because then I don't want to, like...
I know, and then we have to, like, go back and talk about it again.
Yeah. I'm gonna get some orange juice.
Okay.
Call me crazy. I need to get my juice.
Your juice.
Right back.
Yeah, that's fine. And now I'm here by myself. That's what always tends to happen.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
Well, now we lost Scotty, so...
the boiler loses pressure sometimes, so I have to just do the valve.
Got it.
Yes, I've played a bit of Diablo.
Yeah?
I'm like level 17, so I haven't played that much.
What characters you make?
Rogue.
Nice.
Closest to Demon Hunter.
Yeah.
But I kind of prefer the UI in 3.
That's fair.
Like, it seems kind of too off to the side for me, like your character menu sort of thing. And the like the upgrade talent tree path is a bit, I don't know. They got rid of kill streak XP bonus.
Yes, they did.
Why? I enjoyed that.
Well, so you end up, what you can do is, when you get to a certain level, you can craft elixirs, and if you pop that, then you just get a flat, like, 15% EXP buff for, like, 30 minutes. So,
because I enjoyed, like, going through parts of the game and seeing loads of enemies, like, right, I'm going to get a really high kill streak, you know, XP bonus, and you could try and get it over 100, and I enjoyed that. But the mount's nice.
Yeah.
And the attack that you do, like, where you throw yourself off the mount and it, like, rains a barrage of arrows.
Yeah, that's pretty fun. So,
can you earn any of the armor that is sold in the shop, or is that all just shop exclusive?
That's all shop exclusives.
Okay, is there good end game looking armor?
I think so.
Right, okay.
And it's funny because, like, there's, on the season pass, there's the free armor that you get, and then there's the paid one.
I haven't made the rogue I've made is not a seasonal character. I just wanted to do the story just straight away.
Got
and
it.
then do the seasonal character next. when I get a chance.
I
wasn't aware when you first put up the game, the text to speech thing is automatically
I know.
on.
I hate that it's on automatically. It throws me off every time.
I was like, the fuck? Did I get some weird knockoff version of it?
I know. I did the same thing. Yeah.
So I got it for really cheap. I got it for like silly cheap.
Yeah. Which is good.
I got it from Curry's for like 20 quid.
Yeah.
I'm back.
You're back. And we're back. It's your prerogative. I would make a seasonal character just because there's a lot of things that you can kind of like interact with, and there's a seasonal quest that gives you rewards, and then there's all like because there's the battle passes, like there's stuff that you can pay for that you get, like there's the armor, cosmetics, the transmog stuff.
Yeah.
But there's also like you get these, I think they're called like smoldering ashes, that you can dump into like increasing like drop chance for legendaries at the end of like dungeons, and you just get a flat like huge XP buff for killing enemies, and so it's like whatever progress you make in like the seasonal realm is carried through with other seasonal characters. So what I mean by that is like the first time you go through, you have to discover the whole map, like you have to reveal the fog of war. But there's also these Lilith statues that are scattered throughout the area. And if you find all of those, because each one gives you like +2 permanently to strength or +2 permanently to dex and intellect. And so you want to find all of those. And so finding them carries through. I mean, ultimately if you do it on the Eternal Realm, it carries to seasonal as well. It's just, it's playing a seasonal character is like in your best interest. And the season's early enough on that you can still kind of catch up with all that stuff and not be set back. So, but yeah, we can talk about this another time. Anyway, now that we're all returned,
where did we leave off?
I was just gonna say the God, I already forgot the name of the nightmare raid.
Root of Nightmares.
Root of Nightmares. Ron has probably one of the worst traversal sections of all time. I cannot stand getting the light and dark buff and waiting for this pulse of energy to not kill you.
I'm extremely efficient and quick with jumping puzzles, so I will blast through it. But that also does mean my teammates are fucked.
Right, and that's one of those like.
I don't have a problem with it personally, but everyone else in the raid does. So
and that's one of those where it's like you want everyone to get through it together.
Yeah,
because it eventually like you get to that point where it's a bottleneck where you can't progress until everyone gets to the door, and it's like it feels like when they made that they assumed everyone was just going to strand Spider-Man their way through, and it's like so that's like in terms of like the echelon of like the worst transition. That one like is definitely like takes the cake, and then probably Ghost of the Deep is right behind it just because it's so long, and eventually it's like it drags on. But this I would say is like the perfect amount of like because the exploration, the skybox, everything's cool, the music's great.
I think my worst experience in a transition raid encounter is probably Vogue.
How? Like
because people are dumb, and apparently Gorgons are hard.
Yeah, all right. I knew you were gonna say Gorgons, and I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll secede to that because there are times where people like you. No matter how many times you say "do not double jump," you hear someone double jump.
I was doing carries, and I'm a patient person, and I'm nice, and this person wanted to do the whole raid, so they were adamant they didn't want to leave. They had to do Gorgons.
Right.
We were at Gorgons for 2 hours.
Yep. That's fair.
2 hours.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
They wanted to do the whole raid. They didn't want to leave. They wanted to do the whole raid, which I get. This was in D1, though.
Right.
But that means, and they were hunter, so you can sit there and crouch, go invis.
Right.
So to compare the gimmicky traversal section, if we compare like the doors section in Vespers to other traversal sections in dungeons, I really wish more dungeons, and this is going to be a crazy thing to say coming from me because I always shit on this dungeon. I wish that there were more gimmick encounters like Grasp of Avarice's Sparrow part. Like, I wish they
Yes.
did more
Yeah,
like
that's fair.
fun shit instead of like.
So more Sparrow encounters and less push the servitor into a fucking vacuum to watch it hit a thing, explode, and do that another
Exactly.
5 times.
Exactly.
God, I hate that encounter. If that encounter wasn't there, Grasp would be such a good dungeon. I mean, it is a good dungeon, but it would be so much better if that encounter was just gone and it was something different, or
But yeah, I wish. I mean, I don't mind this like door switches thing. It's kind of cool. It's kind of fun.
I mean, it doesn't take too long, does it?
It doesn't take too long. I just wish there was more stuff that was just like goofy fun, like the Sparrow part. Like, I want more like really creative like sections that are just like fun.
Are you actually saying something positive about Grasp of Avarice?
I am. I know, it's like the one thing I like about Grasp is
the music.
Is that part.
The music.
Yeah, that's fair. The music.
Well, the music is from Destiny 1. That doesn't even count.
It's not.
I don't.
It's
Yes,
not.
it is. The one good part where it's like, oh, it's the Traveler themes playing. That's
no.
cool.
The best music in it is the boss music.
Yeah, where it's kind of piratey themed. I agree. That music's pretty badass.
Pirate.
Or has not listened to the Grasp of Avarice OST in its shows.
No, I haven't, because I played it and then I never wanted to hear
I'll
it
put it
ever
on for
again.
you after. I'll put it on for you.
Yeah. I think it. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Scotty. I wish more dungeons had like non-traditional encounters like that, because I think people like the Sparrow race part, because people liked the what's the other raid that had the
Scourge of the Past.
Yeah, Scourge of the Past.
The
right?
Mario Kart race, so
like
fun. That's like
not,
one of the most fun encounters in raids.
Not every raid needs to be a boss or a overly complex like
swap Gambit out for Gambit racing.
Yeah, something different. But yeah, it's like some of those like kind of clever, neat, engaging things were like, why'd they do this? And
imagine it's Gambit, right? But instead of invading, it randomly select when you get to half of your bank full, it randomly selects 2 people and they get put in a SRL course.
Yeah.
And then whoever wins, they get more motes, and the loser has less motes.
Ooh, or you do something fun where like you get on, you invade.
I thought you were going to say, or you do something fun and you bring back SRL.
You don't have to play Gambit. That'd be the fun thing. No, but or like as you invade, you get on a Sparrow and you can dash, and like you don't have any weapons, but you can try to
run people.
Fly your Sparrow, and like you can steal a big chunk of their motes.
There's no racing. We need the racing part.
Just yeah, that's fair. But so
Gambit racing.
To your point though, like, yeah, I just wish there was more. Yeah,
more fun stuff.
They do Dual Destiny, but instead of fighting each other in the last part, it's a Sparrow race.
Right.
Okay, not everything has to be a Sparrow race.
No.
But like,
no, there are people who want SRL. This is what they want.
Give the people what they want. I don't know. Like, if you're gonna do like an intermediary transitional encounter, I'd like to see just like really creative, fun stuff.
Sparrows.
Like, otherwise, what's the point? You know.
But, I mean, look, they did change the speed of Always on Time, so it clearly means they're bringing back SRL.
Oh gosh.
That's what the new take on storytelling is for Apollo. It's just SRL.
It's just SRL campaign.
Story. It's like the NASCAR or Formula 1 games campaign.
Right.
Oh my god.
You do a race and then the guy who's supposed to win just gets angry and you have like a bit of dialogue with him, and then it's just another race with a new person.
Brilliant.
You know, this going back to Vespers, this could have been a cool opportunity for a Sparrow section where it's like, in
space,
like like part of the core is going to explode and you have to escape. And
through a wrecked space station, there's like jumps over like gaps in space.
You're literally jumping like through like a void of space where if you like don't clear the jump, like you're just gonna fall and die into like nothingness. Like that would be awesome. And
it would be way cool.
Bring back more Sparrow racing type stuff.
What do we think of the armor?
SRL.
Armor's cool. It's definitely.
I haven't gotten all of it yet.
I think the Titans lost. Titans
I like
lost.
that it's always like a competition. But yeah, I don't disagree.
I don't think it's a competition. I'm just saying that Titans lost this time around with the armor set. Like,
Titans always
you have
lose.
to do the quest thing for the mark because it's cool and glow. It's like, yeah, I really want a towel wrapped around me that looks like a fucking nightclub. Okay.
True.
But yeah, next time I do it, I'll definitely be doing it on my Hunter and Warlock because the armor for it is much better for them.
Yeah.
I like the at least I don't know what the other ones are called, but the Hunter armor set is called like the Spacewalk Grasps or something. Like that's cool. A little reference to the you know what. But
you know what?
we talked about the second encounter a little bit. And
boss.
the binary stuff.
Should we talk about boss?
Shooting the number. Yeah, so we can talk about
how many damage phases did it take for your team the first time you did it?
Damn, too long, probably 4 or 5.
So we didn't have a warlock. It was 2 hunters and I was on my Titan, and we didn't get it done at that evening, so I was like, right, that's it. I got up the next day and went on my warlock immediately, and just ran like a support build with healing grenades and that. But
yeah, that's I always just do that. I swap to
Titan
warlock.
is so good for the rest of the encounter, but the damage phase, because I was having to run support on my Titan. Well, I say support, not really, but I wasn't running Thunder Crash, which is what most people were running.
Right.
So I wasn't, but yeah, it's just.
All right. So now that we're on the boss, I gotta talk about.
Yeah,
I was talking to Rob a little bit about this before, but I kind of hate this boss fight like a lot. Like I really like this dungeon right up until the boss fight. The boss fight is where everything gets screwy for me.
I enjoy it, but they shouldn't have made you two damage rotations.
That's my problem.
Shield damage rotations.
Why repeat that same thing?
Yeah,
twice only to get to damage. To break the shield twice makes no sense. It's the same shit.
We five phased him, right? The first time we did it, we didn't know what we didn't know what was meta for it. We just 5 phased it, and we weren't in the mood for like damage testing. We just wanted it to get it over and done with.
Right.
And I was getting I was taking the piss. I was getting so sick because I was doing suppressor just because that's what I happened to be like. Be doing by the end. I was so sick of hearing the rad sound tick up. Yeah. Look, I'm getting radiation poisoning again.
Oh look, he's backpedaling. Oh look, he teleported to where I was because apparently he can backpedal and teleport.
But
what?
Did you have it where the nuclear core drops off the map when you're in the boss fight?
Not in the boss fight, fortunately, but I did have a part where I take the nuclear core to deposit it, and the prompt doesn't show up, and it won't let me deposit the core for unknown reasons, and then we all wipe. and then we get to repeat everything over again.
That's why I posted that meme of what you said I'll post the screenshots, and I was like, yep. Yeah, like we had it where he just fell off the map.
I love physics.
Yeah. I was like, can they just have it so it just doesn't do that?
Right? I don't know. The repeating of the damage, like breaking the shield, is just too repetitive. It's just way too long.
I think it's fun, but they need to either make it so the attack that happens from like the electricity is either not random or they reduce his health. Fuck Solo in that boss.
Oh hell no.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
It's got. I'm cool with like a difficult damage phase. I think that's really.
Oh yeah.
Neat. It's a cool concept. I just wish it didn't take so long to get to the only hard part of the encounter. Like everything else is
I wish
it's pretty
they
damn
did that
easy until the damage
for
phase.
Nezarec, like where he just runs around like an absolute crackhead. In damage, swinging at you, and you've just got to run around the arena shooting at him. But for that, it feels too unfair, especially for solo players. Like he's got so much health. Does he have more health than Nezarec?
Probably.
He's got about, I want to say, probably 15 mil, maybe somewhere in that range.
Isn't that
I think
caretaker level? Isn't caretaker 16?
Huh?
Well, yeah, it's hard to compare those though because it feels like
It's a completely different damage phase.
I get that, but
it's also
just
6 people versus 3 people.
Yeah, but that's what
True.
I mean. It's 6 versus 3 people. So if they have the same amount of health, especially if, I do not want to. I have no interest in soloing that dungeon at all.
Yeah.
No, it would be a pain in the ass. You would die to something stupid.
Yeah.
And then you'd want to kill yourself after because you died because the core rolled off the
map.
Fucking arena, and then you're like, oh, okay, well.
It was fun. Like, it was hectic fun, and we were having a laugh doing it, but it does,
it drags on.
It was fun, it was fun until it just started getting repetitive. Until it wasn't. Like, it's just like, why are we're still
the Destiny
doing
dialogue, this? D1 dialogue, it was fun until it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, I think
it's just too repetitive.
Yeah, I think you could shave off and only have to do one shield like event where it's like, okay,
you
find
either
the panels.
Shave off the shield
that
event,
fix the whole thing.
make the damage attacks area of effect in the arena less random,
right?
Or you reduce his health.
Yeah, make it so it's more obviously like telegraphed, and because what ends up happening is like I saw kind of what damage strats people were using, and it's like we always I put a well on top of that propane tank, so you're you just avoid the lightning, and it's like. That's obviously not what they intended, but it's like it's not fun to engage with the lightning coming down on the platform like at all. And I was reading something on Reddit where someone kind of pointed out where it's like it's getting to the point where it's like almost like a sensory overload. Like it's not difficult to balance all of these things, but it's just there's so much going on that it's almost like it like aesthetically kind of detracts you from wanting to engage with it because it's just like you just it's so much, and it's like it's like
I mean, it was the first time I'd done it, so it was sort of like I hadn't sort of figured out, but it was trying to tell the animation of it indicating that it's about to affect that area versus is it actually affecting that area,
right?
And yeah, there were points where I was having to jump on the weird platform that you come out of from the back of the point, and it says turning back. I was just jumping there for like a few seconds and then jumping back on. Or when you open the room with the nuclear core, once it opened again, I'd just sit in the doorway and shoot Matrax. But yeah.
Yeah,
it didn't help we didn't have any healing of any kind, but
no. I don't know. I like the idea of like the puppets and everything in that phase, though. I think it's kind of cool. Like having to like juggle your attention between the puppets and the boss and getting the core and timing that right is neat. I don't know. Like the rest of the encounter, that's the only part that's like challenging, and the rest of that like encounter is not hard, I would say.
No.
And so it's just so tedious to get to the only hard part and then fuck up and then be like, okay, great. So
oops.
Took 20 minutes to get to the one hard part, make a mistake, and then have to redo the whole thing over again.
Yeah. I don't know.
Also, change the voice line. Did she have to say the same thing every time? That thing is in the lower stacks.
Yeah, it's retreated to the lower stacks. That is really funny. We did get a kick out of that.
Every single time.
Guys, I think it's in the lower stacks. I'm not sure, though.
That's what we were doing, too.
Yeah. I don't know. It's fine until it's, like, not. There's just...
Again, it's the Destiny 1 dialogue. It was fine until it wasn't.
I'm not talking about the dialogue. I'm talking about just, like, the encounter as a whole. Like,
I know.
Like, I also think I find that the radiation guys are just really obnoxious because it feels like they're kind of meant to just kind of walk up and down like the hallway, but sometimes they'll hardcore follow you and you can't outrun them, and you just get 10 stacks and die, and you're like, I didn't like. Why?
I love them just running at you. They basically all they do is run at you and give you cancer. That's just basically all they do.
They themselves are cancer. No, that's bad. It's just they're just so like tedious and frustrating to fight against, and like I also wish that when you have the scanner debuff, it was a little more quick to like the range, and like it was a little more quick to tell you which one is the one that you have to destroy.
Yeah.
Like I get why why you can't just like flat out like try to kill all of them, and if you do, it like shaves off the time and like, you know, basically detonates. Like that's the only part that's kind of like tedious and frustrating, is like there's a lot going on in that room, and trying to grab the scanner buff and find which one is the one to kill is like, I wish it was a little more quick, because it that timer sometimes can be a little tight, and it's a little like frustrating. And yet like there's a lot of reasons why I have no desire to ever do that dungeon solo, and like part of that is like the radiation guys and just trying to grab the scanner buff, and like it sucks.
Yeah, I'm never doing that.
But it like thematically it's really cool. Like the boss arena is neat. Like the design of it is like really pretty. It's just that fight. Like we've gotten it down to like a very comfortable 2 phase when we do it now. Where like it doesn't feel too tedious, but there's a few things that I would definitely fix about the dungeon, like that final boss encounter overall, because it just like feels a little like maybe it should have gone a little more time in the testing phase before it came out, because I think some of the tediousness of it could be shaved off just a little bit. I understand it's end game and it's meant to be hard, kind of. It's just like it's not difficult, it's annoying, and that's
where the problem.
Yeah, and that's a hard line to walk, because like you want things to be engaging and challenging and feel rewarding. And I mean, you get 2 drops, you can get icebreaker from the end of this. Like it should be an exciting and challenging thing. And thank Christ it's not another Ghost of the Deep. Like I hope we don't ever get another Dormammu or whatever the hell her name is, where it's like the number of hoops you have to jump through and the number of things you have to do just to get to damage on that, and where she stands and trying to do damage on her, where she's just this tiny little floating target in the air. Like I don't ever want a final boss like that again, and I will take this over that. It feels a little tedious at times. Like and this is, I think, coming off of Warlord's Ruin, which I think is probably one of the cooler final bosses, because it's like I also like the way it's done, where you have the stages kind of like going up to the top, and then the top is where you actually do damage. But if you're like efficient and well planned out, and you've got good like positioning, you can do a lot of damage even before you get to the true like damage phase. So like that's one of those where you're rewarded for really kind of like optimizing, and it feels like it doesn't take long between each of those like steps to get to the next damage phase, even if it's just to like chip them down a little bit so you can like reveal more of the arena. Like I think that like that's by far the most kind of like engaging, because you're fighting with the boss like the entire time, versus like doing a bunch of stuff so that you can get to damage. Like I wished we had more stuff kind of like Warlord's Ruin, where it's
maybe they should have made it depending on how many copies you killed that were running around in the lower levels. They're running around in the lower stacks. That you have more platforms to stand on in the up top area.
Cool. Yeah.
That aren't, so the lightning or whatever it is still affects them, but it does less damage.
Right.
Or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Where it's like, you're incentivized to kind of maybe seek out, like, instead of trying to avoid all of them.
Once you've killed the 4 in the first room, and then the occasional one that runs in the rooms where you find the nuclear, where you find the nuclear core off of one of the other copies, you don't really kill that many of them, because you don't need to.
Right.
So yeah, maybe if they did it that way.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea, and like,
because then it doesn't detract from the how hard it is, because you then still have to kill something. Yes, I know it's killing something, and making the game easier, but that's sort of that's how it should be.
Right. Right, because then there's a balance between trying to like speed through it versus like kind of setting yourself up for more success, so that you can maybe have a more efficient damage phase, because you can comfortably stand on more platforms versus like right. Yeah, so I think that's great, and I wish there was more kind of like, I don't want to say like, oh, like, because it'd be really easy to go, the more clones you kill, like maybe you get stacks of like you do more damage to the boss or something like that. But then it's like, no, because then you're optimizing, like, you just kill all of them, and then you go to damage, so you can get more bang for your buck. But if it was like, oh, if we kill 2 or 3 more of these clones, it makes damage way more easy because we can comfortably stand on these platforms, and I can be more consistent with my headshots, right? And like something like that. So yeah, no, that's a cool idea, right? Where there's sort of
an incentive.
Thank you, to kind of engage with a type of
because
mechanic a little bit more.
You can just ignore them. Like early on when you first do it, when we were doing it blind, we was like, oh my god, we've got to kill them all,
right?
Because you get rad poisoning. It's like, well, you don't need to because they sort of don't come in the room,
right?
Some of them do when you go into like the main rooms, but some of them don't. It was really weird. But yeah, like I mean, overall, I think it's a lot better dungeon than Ghost. And I enjoy the setting more than Warlords out of the more recent dungeons.
Totally.
Okay.
But
I really like the skybox.
Yeah, the skybox is very good.
Definitely incredible.
And
cool.
Like the Clovis Bray facility architecture is always very nice. I mean, all right, albeit most of it is destroyed.
Well, I think that's cool because I mean, if it was just more like the same Clovis architecture, it would be kind of boring. But the fact that we get to see it in like a destroyed
I like all the Pokeball looking walls.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is nice to see it again. I did see people complaining that it was a reskin. It's like, okay.
I don't think it's a reskin. I like seeing Clovis stuff.
Yeah. Oh no, they're just talking out their ass. But it was nice to see the environments again. But I think it's a lot better. And it's very clear that since I'm not advocating for them to make more confusing monetization, but it's very evident that there is more effort put into these dungeons, more money put into them now that they have, the dungeon key.
Yeah.
Compared to when dungeons weren't tied to that. But obviously,
that's fair.
We'll see how they are going into the next content year when we don't have dungeon keys, but they are still paid, aren't they? They're basically like season. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
Just make better dungeon armor. I think a lot of it's kind of crap.
Yeah.
I like the Warlord stuff, man.
The Warlord Titan helmet is fine. I think the rest of it is kind of eh.
I like the Hunter cloak with the ice picks.
Yeah.
I think it's
cool.
I don't
know. It's some of it's been really hit and miss.
Yeah.
I think for dungeons more so than raid. I know people complain about the raid armor being really weird, like it being really weird, but at least it looks like it's not bland. It's still odd looking, but it's not bland.
Sure.
Like the Salvation's edge armor is fucking weird.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I don't know. Raid armor should be like the coolest looking stuff, and sometimes it's so bizarre, and it's like, what? Like, Root of Nightmares is kind of funky, but it also like works kind of.
Yeah, but you end up looking like a mosquito.
Yeah, it's just. Yeah, it bothered me more in.
Salvation's Edge.
No, Salvation's Edge. I'm trying to think which dungeon. Oh, Disparity, where you had what was the weapon foundry?
Duality?
Or Duality. I'm sorry, Duality, where you had like. What was it?
Hake armor.
Yeah, you had the Hake armor, which didn't at all make sense for like that.
Because it was probably supposed to be in Eververse, but then they put
exactly, and then they just used it for that armor, and it's like it doesn't. Like I like when the armor these kind of matches the weapons. Like they do that with Warlord's Ruin. They definitely do that here. Root of Nightmares does a pretty good job, but there's been a couple dungeons where it's like. I mean, Grasp of Avarice is kind of weird because you have like the Thorn armor, which again maybe was also supposed to be an Eververse thing.
I don't like it. I think that was quite
Yeah, it's quite meh, and then it doesn't
feels like,
really.
All right, for me, it feels like you can't really pair it with much other armor.
Right. Agreed. Yeah, because it's so spiky that it's hard to like mix and match. Because that's always kind of the fun. Like the real end game of this game is your drip
fashion,
and it's like. It's hard to. I like trying to mix and match different, like, eras of armor to make it like look cool, and it's hard to do that with the Thorn armor. I completely agree. Trying to think some of the other dungeons that we've had.
Well, not all dungeons had exclusive armor. So.
Right.
I mean, Spire of the Watcher had the cowboy stuff.
Yeah.
Which was Tex Mechanica.
Right. And that worked because it was all cowboy themed, although it was a weird effects. Ghost of the Deep was the other weird one where you had that armor is arguably pretty awesome, and
it's very good armor, but the weapons look
actually kind of matches with the Thorn armor somewhat. But then the weapons are these weird, like completely where they don't
look like submarine
exactly
valves and things like that.
And they don't match at all, and that's weird.
No.
And I get the kind of the point of that, because like here you are kind of traversing down into the deep, and ultimately the armor should sort of be reflective of the hive, but then the weapons kind of don't. So like I think Duality and Ghosts of the Deep are two examples where it's like really bizarre and they don't match at all.
I think I said it last week, but I really think Bungie should focus less on making Eververse armor sets, and if they want to sell cosmetics ornaments, they should sell weapon ornaments, make more of them, and put more armor in the game.
Right.
Because you don't really see, when you're fighting, you don't see your armor.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like what was the kinetic shotgun from Forsaken, the one that kind of came out that was kind of the big thing in PvP.
Dustrock Blues.
Dustrock Blues. Had a really cool ornament where it added kind of like the fallen spikes. And like I thought, like I agree. I think as much as I hate to say it, they
moved away from giving what is it because of sunsetting?
I think so. That? Yeah, because all those weapons, like you paid for those ornaments and then they're gone. You can't use them anymore.
But we don't have sunsetting now, so why don't?
Right. So now's the time.
But they should make it so it's just a universal ornament for a hand cannon or a scout at that point.
Oh, really. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
is what I mean, because. You see, all right, then people would start slapping it on anything. But like, if you're making universal, like armor for characters, but you don't see them, like, I'm not advocating for more monetization. I'm just saying I think it would do better. Like, look at all other games at the minute where they sell skins, but they sell, like, I mean, look at CS:GO or Valorant. Now Overwatch does that. They sell weapon skins as well as skins for your characters.
Right.
Like, I think there's, I don't know. Maybe they've probably done focus testing for it, but I still think that they should maybe try out weapons more than armor and just put more cool looking armor into the game.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely is frustrating when you see some of the coolest, like.
I get why crossovers aren't free.
Right.
I get, like, I don't agree, like, it's annoying, but I get why, like, I'm not,
Right.
And I'm kind of glad that a lot of the Eververse armor has been crossover stuff, because then it feels like, okay, they haven't made this cool armor set for this faction or, destination that could have been somewhere in the game, but no, they put it in Eververse.
Right.
However, this season they did make the plague stuff, didn't they?
Yeah. I was trying to think of what it looked like, but yes, you are correct.
All right, so that about closes it out for today's episode. As always, thank you guys for hopping on and chatting with me, and thank you to our wonderful audience for listening to this episode wherever you're streaming it from, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever. Please be sure to leave us a review if you like the show. If you don't like the show, you can still leave a review, but I'll be sad about it. Check out our YouTube channel as well. We upload some videos over there. Both podcast episodes and gameplay videos, and on Twitch we also stream the live show every now and then, and we also stream gameplay as well. I've been playing the closed alpha of Destiny Rising quite a bit on YouTube and Twitch, so be sure to check that out. If you want to support the show, please check the episode description. There is a link to give us a tip, and as well as a link to get a free trial of Streamlabs Pro. If you use our link, we'll get a small cut of that. So thank you guys so much for hopping on and chatting, and we will see you guys next episode.
You can put this voice recording away and go on with your life, because you and I both know you'd have me yapping in your ear for the rest of your days.
Want to further the discussion? Get in touch with us at any of our Twitter handles, all of which can be found at our podcast description.